Howdy, everybody. I'm Kathryn Whitaker, and I'm joined very shortly with my husband, Mr. Whitaker, and we're going to be chatting about Holy Week. How's your Holy Week going? How can you enter into Holy Week? How can you get the most from Holy Week? And how you, can experience Christ in a new way. So let me get Mr. Whitaker on here, and then we'll get started. There he is. Hold on a second. Oh, hey,
Hey,
how are you?
good.
Happy Holy Week, honey.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I know, like 10 minutes. Hey, well, I do the little, like, I'm going to tell people what I love about you to introduce you, but that's pretty easy for me to do with you. I'm going to have to shorten my list. Okay, what do I love about you? Oh, man, so many things. Okay, I love,
Long list. It's a very long
it's a
list.
very long list. It's 28 years long list. I love that you love your alma mater as much as I love our alma mater. It's just part of your DNA. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I think people maybe that didn't go to a university may not fully understand that, but it marries a lot of things that we love: people, experiences, places, and you just like our kids. It's infectious with our kids. So even our kid who's at U of H still loves A&M. So I love that about you. Um, I love that you see the best in people and you remind me to do the same. I tend to be a little more passionate, shall we say, and a little bit more, I think, maybe just not as calm and measured as you are. You're really good at that. And I love that you love to hike, even though I hate it, but somehow you've dragged me to some amazing places. And I would never, there's so many things that I would not have eaten, gone to, hikes that I wouldn't have done had it not been for your love of that. So thank you for making me do things that you know that I'm going to end up loving, but I tell you that I hate to begin with. So, and I love that you're from a small town. Small town boys are the best. So if you're single and you're watching this, find yourself a small town boy. So there we go. I'll go with that.
All right.
Does
Well,
that work?
it's perfect. Yes, that's great. I don't know what to say other than thank you.
That's a good. Thank you. Thank you for receiving that. Yeah, I was just telling everyone, so we just got back from the Chrism Mass. So like maybe for people that don't fully understand that, I know it varies in some dioceses. Like I think it always happens during Holy Week, but like when they do it differs. But ours does it on Tuesday, and they actually do it at our parish, which is really nice. And that's the big mass where like, so if you're going to be baptized, confirmed, holy orders, anointing of the sick. So any of the oils that we have, the oils, the oils that we use to anoint people as part of the sacrament, we bless all those. I mean, they have to be blessed. So we bless all those. It's really like this big pomp and circumstance, like the bishop like stirs in. What is it that he stirs into the chrism?
Chrism,
Or
it's
into the olive.
balsam.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Okay, balsam.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the perfume that you put in there to make it the sacred
It
chrism.
smells so good. I know people can't
Yeah.
smell this, but whenever you come home, so you have this amazing beard, and I got you some beard oil that smells like chrism. So I just sniff you when you come home at night. It's so good.
That's why you love baptism so much.
It is. And confirmation too. Like I sniff their heads. It's awesome. So yeah, so we're entering into Holy Week. How's your Holy Week going, babe?
We just got back from Ireland and Scotland, so I'm just like skating in to Holy Week, I think. But no, it's good. And I think for us, the Chrism Mass, I think traditionally it's on Thursday before the Mass of the Lord's Supper on Thursday evening. But in many dioceses, it's celebrated on Tuesday just because it's easier for you've got the geography, you've got to get the oils in all the different places. So, but I think for us in our diocese, it really is a great experience because it kind of extends, the Holy Week, if you will. So it's Palm Sunday on Sunday, Chrism Mass Tuesday, and then we just Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I think it's good. I think the Christmas Mass actually, for me, has always been this just great kind of entry into Holy Week. So it's been really good in our diocese.
That's when you know, at least for us, that's when we know that Holy Week has officially started. I mean, when I had a bunch of little kids, you would come home and tell me about it. And then when kids started going to like parents' day out, I was able to get them dropped off, zoom in for the
Yep.
Mass, and then zoom back out to picking them back up. But now we're in a season where I actually get to like
Right.
come. And usually we have lunch after, but we knew we had this, and you're coming off a big trip that you had to come back in and get things done. Um, okay, so I'm going to ask you this about one about Holy Week and one about your pilgrimage. Was there, so for those that don't know, Scott went to Scotland and Ireland for about 12 days and just got home last Thursday. Was there a moment that felt very penitential on your pilgrimage, but at the same time, you could see like a lot of, like you could see the joy of the penitence? I'm curious what we haven't even really had a chance to debrief. I want to know more, but I figure I can ask you one question here.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where I probably haven't fully reflected on the experience either. But I don't know. I think this was an interesting trip because I think most of our European travels have been to France and Spain and Portugal and Italy and just kind of this very Catholic experience, if you will. Even though I think Europe is by its nature is struggling with Catholicism and
Faith,
certainly
faith in general.
any faith at all. But I don't know. This trip was very, very interesting because I don't know really what I expected going into Ireland and Scotland. I think I was expecting a little bit more of the Catholic identity in Ireland. And I don't mean to say that it wasn't there. Scotland, obviously, I think I was prepared for it to be, not so much Catholic with, the Church of Scotland and of course, their own faith tradition there now in the last, 400 or 500 years. But the thing that struck me the most was it was a noticeable part that was missing in both Ireland and Scotland. And I don't know. I've got to probably reflect on that. I've got to read some books about it. I've got to think about that a little bit. But it may be sad, in a way that I just feel like it was just not necessarily this Catholic experience. Not to say that it wasn't a Catholic experience because we had Mass every day as a great pilgrimage, but it was a noticeable difference I felt. And so to me, that was just something that I picked up, on this on this pilgrimage. It was just it's just very interesting to me to see that and to experience that. So that was a bit of a desert experience, I guess I might say, on this particular pilgrimage. There were many, many other blessings on this pilgrimage, but from a kind of a Lenten desert experience, I think that was kind of it. It made me really appreciate. We can talk about America all we want and Texas all we want, but man, it's really good here. And so I'm really grateful that we're blessed to have just tremendous faith traditions here. And so I don't know, it was something that I just wanted to reflect on a little bit and probably need to keep reflecting on that to some degree.
Well, I think when we travel, it allows us to open our hearts and our minds to how people worship, live, celebrate their cultures differently. And it gives us a bigger lens in which to view the world. And I think even though it might be different maybe than what you were expecting or different than what you have here on a daily basis, I'm sure that you're going to get a chance to take that to prayer tomorrow, maybe, perhaps. So we have a big week at our house. I shared on social media yesterday that our fifth baby, who is our NICU, he's not a baby anymore. He's a teenager now. He's 14. Is going to be going into surgery tomorrow. And I think this feels, and it's also our oldest son's birthday and my late father's birthday. Thank you, Jesus. I feel seen, but also that's going to be a deep breath kind of a day. It feels like a different Holy Week in the sense that we have always had plans during Holy Week. Typically our family takes on a big, like outside, messy, physically intensive project to sort of bring ourselves into the suffering of Good Friday and to get uncomfortable and then rejoice in all of our good hard work on Holy Saturday, on the Vigil, and then also on Easter Sunday. So none of that is happening this year. Instead, we are going to be living that as a family in the hospital. And so I don't know how I feel about all of that. Maybe ask me in a couple of years how I feel about this Holy Week. But um, I don't want to say that we're robbed of the experience. I think part of the beauty, part of us being at Mass and celebrating with community is gone. But it's also a really beautiful thing. Like people were stopping us at Mass. I'm going to start crying. People were stopping us at Mass today saying like, hey, we're going to pray for Luke for tomorrow. And I just kept thinking, we're just going to be living our Holy Week in a different place. The joy and the community is still there, but it's going to be a lot, babe. I'm just warning you now. Like if I'm crying on Instagram Live, y'all need to pray for Scott because he's the one that's going to be with me tomorrow. So
I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, sitting in the waiting room again, Children's Hospital, and yeah, that's always a tender place, obviously, for us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just something that is part of this. But I also think that I think sometimes God allows these opportunities for us to maybe this year it was meant to we were meant to sit on the couch with Luke and watch basketball and play games and just be and kind of be with each other and to settle into that family life. And I do think even though we've kind of traditionally done this hard labor, certainly between noon and 3, it's like hard labor. Do not talk. Do not touch. Do not get on the screen.
Yeah.
Your life is miserable. We are the Catholic guilt family. But maybe during that time this year, it's just meant for us to kind of sit with the suffering a little bit. And maybe this is the opportunity for that. It also reminds me, I remember when the kids were younger, obviously, for you and I, to take, we were just talking about this the other day with some other friends that, 5 kids, 8 and under, that was our life. And to think about what that was and how did we do that and how did we make it out of there, and how many times did we do tag team? All right, you're going Thursday, I'm going Friday, and then the next year we would switch, and then the kids started getting older and the kids started going, and I think it's just important for people to know that you have all these different seasons of your life, and maybe this is a little reminder of that season to some degree as well. But I think it's okay to stop, pause, and just to sit in the suffering a little bit, and maybe it just draws you closer to the cross this year in a different way.
Oh, I feel like we're just going to be hugging it this year. Jesus.
Yeah.
Veneration of the Cross is starting early here. I should say this to give you some perspective. Okay, remember Luke's 14. So we just explained what we typically do on Holy Week in the Triduum, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Luke says, wait, so if I'm having surgery, does that mean that I get out of all the hard labor and I can watch as much basketball as I want? And we were like, yes. And he was stoked. So only spoken like a true surgical warrior. Like, I'll take the surgery as long as I get to watch basketball.
I'll take one team. Don't mind me. I got a bad feeling he's going to milk this one, for several days. It's like, I'm not going to be able to do anything. I got a feeling he's going to be milking it.
Although I do think everyone is also appreciating that Luke is having surgery, because that also means that we are not taking on what we normally do. So everyone feels like early Easter to all of them, whereas it feels like Holy Week, I think, for us. So there's some good perspective on how Luke is fine. And, the joy. So the first 5 surgeries that he had, he was a year old or younger. And then the other 2 happened before he turns 4. So this is the first time that Luke remembers walking in to the pre-admit area and going through all of that. And so I think you're right, sweetheart. I think we get comfortable in celebrating certain seasons, like whether it's Christmas or Easter or, different parts of maybe a feast day or something that we celebrate throughout the year. And we have our traditions and the way that we do it. And then sometimes God shakes it up a little bit, makes it a little bit harder, changes our perspective. And I think I would feel, I think, less alive if I wasn't saying, okay, I know he's presented us this with this thing, but certainly he's asking something of us as we journey through it. Like, I don't want to waste this suffering. I guess I should say that. I don't want to waste this opportunity to grow in faith, but also I'm seeing our kids leave our house very quickly now. And so the fact that we get a chance to have 5 of the 6 of them home for Easter weekend feels like a tremendous gift. And maybe we needed the time. So thanks, Luke, for needing surgery. But I don't
But
want a happy clap out of it, but I think that there's a lesson there.
oh yeah, no doubt. But all the viewers are about to see something about our marriage that you just absolutely hate. But it's all going to be okay. We're going to be okay through this. And here's
Scott's Mr. Positive.
positivity coming through. And I know there's a few people of our friends that would say you can shove that positivity stuff, Mister. But that's not who I am either. I will not sit and wallow in this. I will recognize the suffering, and I think it's okay that is a space in my heart, and there's a space in your heart that we don't necessarily know entirely what that is like, and that's okay. And but I think this is also part of marriage, is we're going to be different, and we're going to experience this week and this time with Luke in very different ways. And it does give me the opportunity to go back 13 years to think about 14 years when we started having those first surgeries. And yeah, it was tough, but I was positive. I'm like, no matter what happens, it's going to be good. We're going to be okay. And that's my positivity coming out. So I'm sorry.
No, it's a good thing that in just a few minutes, I'm going to end the live, and then you're going to go back to work, and I can sit here and do whatever I want. But no, this is why marriage takes 2 people. I mean, it's why I have this, it's why I fell in love with you, is because you are faithful and you are firm in your foundation. It's not that I'm not, but you are the steady boat in a sea of craziness. I know that if you lose your shazazzle, the ship is going down. Okay, like it's just not happening. Right. So I'm always grateful when you are very steady, because I think when you walk into anything difficult, and maybe we're walking back into a place that holds, I think, almost all of my trauma, all of my triggers, all of my scars, as it does for Luke, although he doesn't remember all of that. But at the same time, I'm not walking back to 2009 and 2010. And so I've learned, I think, in this last...
I talked about this. We're in a different place.
We are.
Right.
So this, I think all of us can relate to having to face something again, but we're no longer the same people that we were. And so our priest reminded us, he was like, Kathryn, remember, you're okay now. And so being, I think, obedient to, maybe it won't be hard. Maybe I'll walk in and be like, I'm a badass. We totally own this, literally own this place. That room we paid for, that nurse's salary we helped pay for, but maybe we will. Maybe I'll walk in and that will be a testament to the healing and also the prayers. So maybe as people are listening, thinking about their experience with Holy Week, maybe past Holy Weeks have been difficult for you. And maybe this is the Holy Week. Maybe this is the year that God says, I have healed it. I have redeemed it. And now I'm asking you, to bask in the joy. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I think I'm trying to be obedient to whatever he presents. Not always easy.
Yeah. And I do think this is why I like to think our marriage is pretty good. Yeah, we have our own unique challenges and problems like any other marriage might, but I think that's what makes ours uniquely different and uniquely good, in the sense that you tend to overthink what's going to happen tomorrow, and I tend to underthink.
To underthink. So we balance out. That's good.
I think we're going to meet somewhere in the middle. It's going to be okay. But that's just where we are, and I think that's where our marriage is and where our relationship has gone, and that we recognize that, and I think that we're good for each other. So I think that's an important thing, at least in our marriage, is that we balance each other, and we're very complementary to that as well. So I'm not going to overthink tomorrow. You know, I'm gonna roll in there. It's gonna be great, no matter what. God is on our side. We've got this, and I mean, sometimes, you know, perhaps because it is Holy Week, there's a different feeling to this, right? There is more of a redemptive suffering moment, you know, if you will, of bringing our suffering alongside Jesus's suffering, which is very real and very important to salvation history. So this is where we are. This is a big deal.
Well, and I'm not naive enough to believe that when we walk into that surgical unit tomorrow, we will be surrounded by children, babies, infants, as well as toddlers and young kids who are scared, but also their families. For them, this may be their first experience. It may be very traumatic. It might be emergency. And we know what that feels like. So maybe it's an opportunity to really pray for them, because you and I have been there more than our fair share. But I remember going in the first time, and it was awful. It was horrible. Also, if you're at Dell and you need like all the places, if you want to know where all the hiding places are to pray, DM me and I'll tell you where they are. But I think tomorrow I might revisit a couple of those places just for some good healing.
But I
But
think I think this is an important point that maybe you're about to make or you're thinking about. But and this is where my own positivity comes in, is that I know what Luke is going to go through tomorrow. Yes, it is serious to him. It's serious to us. And it's a very important day for him. But I know that there are others that are probably exactly where we were 14 years ago.
right.
And that is a very difficult place to be for those parents. And I remember this, and you do as well. I don't think very few things test your faith, test your sanity when your 2-month-old, 3-month-old, 6-month-old goes back for surgery. At that point, there's nothing else except God in that relationship. There's nothing else, because you're turning him over to God. And so I think that's going to be something that I'm going to probably reflect on a little bit tomorrow afternoon. Is it's going to be okay. There's some other kids on here that we don't know that, and I think that's an important thing for us to continue to pray for them. So this, again, there's a lot to kind of take on and to reflect on this week, and tomorrow will be a good day for that.
Yeah, and maybe it's an opportunity we get to turn. I know that we've shared that we're not sharing the details, and that's at Luke's request. That all those years ago, it started out as mine and Scott's story, and then it became Luke's story. And we're trying very hard to be obedient to. He gets to take ownership of his story. And so while we have asked for prayers, but we need you to know that we asked his permission before we asked y'all to pray for him publicly. There were certainly people in our own life and in our physical life, like godparents and priests and close friends, you know, we're going to tell them, ask for their prayers. But we asked Luke, is it okay if we make it a bigger ask? And at first he was like, ask no one. And I was like, hey, buddy, so this is an opportunity for you to think. I said, I'm not saying that we have to share it on social media, but we do need to share it with other people, because you need to invite people in your community in to pray for you, because there will be an opportunity for you to do the same. And then he gave us the permission to do it on social media. So I think it's important to mention that this was all at Luke's permission, all with his, his request. And it's a great, I think, first step into saying, I can do this, but I can do it a little bit better if people are surrounding me in prayer. So maybe that's how we should all enter into Holy Week.
I mean, that's the most important point that you just made, I think, of today. Two things. One, we let Luke as a teenager begin to take ownership of his own experiences and life. But two, it's so important that we teach our children to allow them to be loved. They need to be able to be loved, to be a receiver of God's love and the gifts that other people want to give to you. Prayers, food, just a, just a look of concern and like, I get you, I see you. But it's important that we teach our children to be good receivers of that love. And I think that's really difficult place for people today, to not be a good receiver of that. Even you have said this, you've written about this, you've talked about this. You weren't very good at that several years ago. This is all about me. I can do it. I'm a strong woman. I'm a strong person. I don't need anybody's help. I'm going to do this. And I do think that there's moments in your life that allowed you to be a much more grateful receiver of God's gifts and people's gifts in your life. So it's important for our children to know that. So for Luke, it's like, hey, I get it. We don't want to share, but at the same time, buddy, you're gonna want those prayers. You're gonna want the people on your team, and let them do that for you. So I think it's an important point.
Let people love you.
Yep.
I think we've mentioned that before. When someone has an offer of help, maybe you think you don't need it, but it's how they can love you. So don't deny them an opportunity to love your family. I'll end with this. I had a friend yesterday text me, and her first thing was, of course, we're thinking about Luke. What can I bring you for dinner, or can I fold your laundry? And I immediately texted her back and I was like, dinner would be amazing. And I said, also, thank you for not saying, just let me know if you need anything. I said, thank you for doing a concrete thing. And she, at one point, used to work for the Christie Center, which is an amazing nonprofit here in Austin. And she said, I learned a thing or two working there about being a good and supportive friend. So I was really grateful. That one touched me. Who would think that a text message about bringing me dinner would bring me to tears? So this is where I am. Scott's like, it's going to be fun. So we'll keep you updated periodically tomorrow. I want you to see the fruits of your prayers, and we'll do that as time allows. But thanks for praying for our family, babe. Thanks for chatting with me about Holy Week. I guess I'll see you on the other side. I have no idea, by the way. I don't know what we're having for dinner, so I'm sorry.
I think we're like 0 for 7 or 8 on these Instagram lives. It's always like it's Tuesday, so could be Taco Tuesday. That's the go-to meal.
Maybe we can do like taco quesadillas. I'll let you know. But I usually say, like, tell us where we can find you on social media, but I talk about you all the time. So it's Scott Whitaker 95, but also you're an amazing, it's worth mentioning that you do amazing work for the church, and hundreds of thousands of Central Texans benefit from your yes every day. And today was another tangible reason. Things cost money, and somehow you were able to find donors who joyfully give because you found something that they love with a ministry or an effort within the church. And I think that's a real gift. So I love you for it. Proud of you.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for listening to me and talking a little bit early on about the pilgrimage to Scotland and Ireland. And go look at my photos on my Instagram page. You can see.
So you can be jealous. It was amazing. Thanks for taking us with you.
Great. And yes, the Guinness does taste better in Dublin. I'm sorry, but it does.
Should have been my first question. I'm sorry. Yes, that should have been it. All right. For everyone watching, have a blessed and beautiful Holy Week. And I will see you tonight, babe. Love you. All right. Bye, y'all.